All right, guys, I really don't have anything funny or witty to say to start this one off, so let's just get into Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. So Mission Impossible Rogue Nation is the first film of the Mission Impossible franchise to be directed by director Christopher McQuarrie. Him and Tom Cruise have a long-standing relationship, and with this film, I think the series turns in a different direction, just in terms of it becomes less standalone. While all these adventures are kind of standalone, I feel like this is where everything kind of starts to be like, we're going to bring back some old characters a little more often. There's a little more of a, through line with the characters as we progress, and I think that's really interesting. So as with all these videos, we're going to give you your summary of the film, and then we're going to dive into spoilers. So if you've never seen the film before, stick around for the summary, see if it's something you're into, then go check out the film, then come back, finish this video. That'd be greatly appreciated. So your summary for Mission Impossible Rogue Nation is the IMF is essentially dissolved because of the CIA, and Ethan Hunt has to go into hiding and go rogue per usual, and he has to figure out what exactly the syndicate is, who's running the syndicate, what is the syndicate, which is essentially a group of rogue agents that have been thought dead or missing, and they comprise this organization that's going around the world influencing and causing havoc. It's up to Ethan Hunt and his team as he assembles them to stop everything from happening that the syndicate is trying to do. We also bring in some new characters, especially the big character here, which is Rebecca Ferguson's MI6 agent that was disavowed from her government. So they all have to team up to stop the syndicate. And that's essentially your plot in a nutshell. There's a lot more going on here, so let's talk about it. So the big gimmick for this film was Tom Cruise hanging on the side of a plane. And I think he did that stunt like eight times maybe, and he had to apparently wear like the contact lenses that like covered your whole eyeball. That would just freak me out. But apparently, he did that. It like took him a couple days to kind of get reacclimated because he was like 5,000 feet in the air, I think, with that plane. So a really cool stunt. But man, they used that one right from the beginning. That was in all the marketing when this film came out, and it was the opening part of the movie, which was a lot of fun, really cool, really well done. As the movie goes along, we get the IMF being dissolved by Alec Baldwin's character, who comes in, and he plays a new character who's the director of the CIA, Alan Hunley. And I think Alec Baldwin's great. I love Alec Baldwin, loved him on 30 Rock. I think he's great in this. But then I did almost kind of forget that Jeremy Renner pops back up in this. So let's talk about that. So this whole movie, Jeremy Renner doesn't really get a whole lot to do other than he's kind of keeping the CIA in check, and he's also keeping in contact with his IMF team that's been disavowed. So Jeremy Renner doesn't get a whole lot of action in this. So I think that Jeremy Renner was originally supposed to be kind of the heir apparent to Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt, but they kind of slowly seem to have written him out just by making him a government lackey in this one a little more, and then he doesn't even appear again in Part 6. So I don't know if he's going to show up in Dead Reckoning 1 or 2, so we'll find out. He kind of just disappears, so much for him being the heir apparent to Tom Cruise, who's still kicking with this franchise. But so I think Renner's great in this, though. I think his back and forth with Alec Baldwin's a lot of fun. I think both of them do a really great job. But then, of course, Tom Cruise goes rogue, Ethan Hunt. And I love the scene where he brings in Benji to the opera. Then you get that whole fight in the opera house with Rebecca Ferguson's character coming in. And you got that other guy who comes in with the instrument that's secretly a gun, which is really kind of a cool thing, kind of a cool gadget. But I love that whole scene. Every part where you have Simon Pegg's Benji interacting with Ethan Hunt, I love all those scenes. They just have really good chemistry, and I dig it a lot. And Rebecca Ferguson's chemistry with Tom Cruise is something that was very, very much appreciated in this film, and I love Rebecca Ferguson. This is the film that kind of got me onto her, and I think she's a great actress. I want to see more of her, and it's great that she gets to be like the female lead of this. She gets a lot of great action scenes. The whole motorcycle chase sequence, all that was a lot of fun. You see all these vehicle chases in all these movies, and they do, at times I could see somebody who would say that they're repetitive, but I don't know, there's just something about this one that I really dug. I was kind of on the edge of my seat, even though it was like I knew it was about to happen. I was on the edge of my seat for all of it, but sure does it get a little bit out there when they put on their seatbelts and they do the flippy flip in the car. Yeah, a little out there, but just roll with it. It was a good time, and I thought that a lot of great action stuff that they set up in this. Then you got Sean Harrison here, who comes in as Solomon Lane, who's kind of the puppet master of this syndicate organization, another disavowed MI6 operative. And in this film, I don't really think he was a great bad guy. I mean, he's got a really interesting face. He's got a very menacing presence, but I just didn't feel like his acting. I don't know. I mean, he played the character all right, I guess. I didn't hate him, but just as far as villains, I was just like, not as impressed with him as a villain. You know, I thought he was okay. He doesn't really do a whole lot. When we get to the next movie, though, I like him a lot more in the next one. A spoiler alert for Fallout, but. So as a bad guy, he was all right, kind of menacing. Not my favorite, but good enough. Typical threat for the IMF. And like I said, Rebecca Ferguson comes in as Ilsa Faust. Great character. Love her chemistry with Tom Cruise. I think she gets a lot of great stuff to do in this. I think the whole scene where they're doing the underwater stuff's pretty cool too. I know Tom Cruise said he could hold his breath for 6 minutes or something like that. And while the scene doesn't look it, I know there was probably some practical stuff in there, but it does look very CGI heavy when they're doing all that water stuff. So I think that stunt kind of gets lost in the CGI-ness of that scene, but I still think it was a lot of fun, really cool. Because like that diving suit too. That diving suit was so stinking neat. I wish that was a real thing, but I thought that was a cool thing. Like just having like the digital display on it, on the sleeve and all that was pretty neat. And like I like that the way they end this. It's not like they kill the bad guy. They capture him in a box, which was kind of cool. I like that cat and mouse angle. They figure out a way to kind of capture him instead of like at the end of a lot of these movies the bad guy gets blown up or something. So I like that they held on to the bad guy because that does allow him to come back in Fallout. But I don't know what it is about this one that makes it my favorite of the series. It's hard to say. Like I felt a little more invested. I thought the pacing was really good. The music's fantastic as usual. Something about this, I don't know if it's the inclusion of Rebecca Ferguson, if it's just maybe a little bit more Simon Pegg in this than usual. Maybe it's the total disavowalment of this whole organization. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it 100%, but I always leave smiling with this film. Maybe it's because it sets up more good stuff, but I just think this is a good entry in the franchise. My favorite so far. While I think a lot of them, we're getting to the point where all these films are just like so, close in like my ranking of them or my like scoring of them that. Like it's hard to pick. Like a different day, I could be picking a different one of these films because I think Ghost Protocol jumped up the list a little bit on my rewatch. So like they're all fighting, they're all neck and neck, and I think they're all great. At the end of the day, I am giving Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation an A-. It's a lot of fun that continues the great run of films this franchise is producing, and leading into Mission Impossible's Fallout. I'm just so stoked. I've been loving rewatching this franchise. But what do you guys think? What is your favorite Mission Impossible film? What do you like about Rogue Nation? Leave those comments down in the comments below. And as always, guys, if you could please hit the like button, the subscribe button, the little bell notification to be notified whenever I drop new videos, it would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, up next, Mission Impossible Fallout. Until then, guys, I'll be seeing you.